President Adama Barrow has ordered for the construction of the Ibo Town roads, according to the Minister of Works and Transport. Zimbabwe has registered a significant increase in wheat production to mitigate high importation. And Gambia's Minister of Health and the World Bank highlighted successes registered in the country's health sector under the Essential Health Services Strengthening Project. Well, this and more coming your way on The World Today. Hello, this is Eyeafrica TV and you are watching the World Today News Bulletin coming to you live from our studios in Banjul. Many thanks for joining us. I am Amadou Kante and now the news in details. Now, the Minister of Works, Transport and Infrastructure has told the Parliament that the President has given his ministry's instruction to prioritize the Ibo Town roads before the upcoming rainy season. Now, Honorable Ibrahim Asila made a remark while responding to the National Assembly member of the Joswan constituency who asked the minister about the progress of the Kampi roads in Ibo Town leading to Badala. Now, Mariama Cham has more details of that in this report.
During the presidential campaign in 2021, President Adama Barrow promised the people of Ibo Town that he will construct first-class roads for the constituency through the OIC road project. The president's declaration has given high hope to the people of Ibo Town, cognizant of the long-standing challenges they endure amid poor road networking and the bad sewage system in the area, especially during the rainy season. But for almost 2 years now, there is no sign of road construction or any significant development in the area, leaving the residents of Ibo Town with little or no hope than to express their frustration on social media by circulating videos of the terrible flooding which has affected the livelihoods of the constituency. The Minister of Works, Transport and Infrastructure, Ibrahim Asila, during his recent appearance in Parliament for the oral question and answer session, informed the lawmakers about the President's commitment to the construction of the Ibo Town roads, whilst responding to Honorable Sirif Saad, the constituency representative.
Honorable Minister of Works informed this August Assembly on the state of progress on the Kayupa Road at Ibo Town linking Badala.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The road linking the mobile traffic Sankunsila Road will be constructed as part of the OIC project. In the same vein, the link between Ibo Town and Joswan will also be partly constructed under the same project. Meanwhile, the National Road Authority has plans to construct new roads to act as major alternative routes for the distribution of traffic flow between these communities and mainland Serekunda.
Honorable Sal for the quiz Minister Silla on how soon these roads will be constructed, considering the fact that the rainy season is just a few months away.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. The Kayupa roads links from the main highway to Badala. And then the Honorable Minister, I don't know how fast will it be, because that road is very, very important to link this intersection that you are talking of. So I don't know when will you have the time to go and do your own feasibility study to see how best that road can be immediately taken care of.
Thank you so much, Honorable Member. Just to tell you that last week, President has instructed us to prioritize the construction of that particular road with modern drainage facilities. So we have already communicated this to the NRA, and I think currently in talks with a contractor to prioritize the construction of this road before the rainy season. Thank you.
The Joswan constituency, especially Ibo Town, continues to face challenges and terrible conditions accessing its roads due to its dilapidated and poor road networks. Every rainy season, Ibo Town experiences serious floods, destroying livelihoods and affecting the well-being of the people, despite numerous promises that were made at both central and local levels, but still nothing has been done to remedy the situation. However, the youths of the constituency have initiated measures to mitigate challenges in various sectors, including flooding, by creating waterways and doing general settle in the constituency. Reporting for Eyeafrica News, I am Yahya Jammeh.
Now, moving on, as the holy month of Ramadan begins, internally displaced Muslims in the Democratic Republic of Congo are struggling for food to break their fast amid the effects of the ongoing civil conflict in the Central African nation. Now, several families are living in a state of despair during this holy month, as most of their belongings have been destroyed and now relying on aid for survival. Ramadan is believed to be a month of sharing and caring. Thus, the local religious authorities are requesting for more support for the affected Muslims. Let's have more details of that in this report.
These are the living conditions for internally displaced persons in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. Zilfa Hitimana is part of the community here. This year's month of Ramadan is a bittersweet memory for her and the family. Before the displacement, they had enough to even share with neighbors. But today, they're worried about what they could eat.
We lack everything. We have no food, we have no place to spend the night, and all our tents are shredded. When it rains, the water comes in, and we can no longer sleep with the children. Here we are in the month of Ramadan, but we do not even have food. We have nothing to break the fast with. This is the hard life that we lead.
With no proper meal to break the fast, Zilfa and 1,000 others can only rely on handouts. Local religious leaders are calling for help to allow them celebrate Ramadan in a meaningful way and make their fasting easier. Ramadan is a time when Muslims refrain from eating and drinking from dawn to dusk and also engage in prayer and assisting the less fortunate. Muslim faithful believe this is a blessed period. And for that reason, some IDPs say living in the camps goes beyond the ongoing conflict in the country.
This state of internally displaced people that we are experiencing is the will of God. It is God Himself who put us in this state, and the fasting of the month of Ramadan is a divine obligation. That is why we are forced to fast, but the life we lead here in the IDP camps is very difficult.
It is very difficult for a human, but for God, it is a very simple situation. God can collect us from all sides and bring us food through different people so that we can break the fast with these Muslims who found us here while fleeing their villages. We have no capacity to succeed in passing this Ramadan. The power is from God.
As they continue fasting, they hold on to their faith, confident that they will observe the month of Ramadan in line with teachings and that they'll get the much-needed assistance they have been requesting for.
And that report is coming from the Democratic Republic of Congo. Elsewhere in the continent, Zimbabwe has registered a significant increase in its wheat production, the highest in more than 50 years. Key players in the industry, such as bread bakers, have welcomed the enhancement of local flour production, which, according to them, will make the bread business more viable. Now, despite this significant development, some local farmers are, however, not impressed with payment delays that could help them sustain higher production. And let's have more details of that in this report.
375,000-ton harvest is an 80,000-ton jump from the previous year and 20,000 tons more than the national requirement. Its impact is being felt across the entire value chain.
It means that the issue of imports has been reduced, and so as bakers, we are happy that we are able to access flour locally. It means we've got more traders interested in selling bread because there is actually more bread. But from the baker's side, it also means a lot of our small bakeries are also able to bake bread.
Increased local wheat supplies have combined with other factors, including reduced lending rates and improved foreign currency allocation, to minimize bread price hikes.
We've also had quite significant support from the central bank, and that helps us to actually stabilize our pricing in terms of bread, because we can access foreign currency, we can access fuel a whole lot better than what we were doing in previous years.
Farmers say the bumper wheat harvest was down to three things. Number one, stable electricity supplies. 2, expanded irrigation capacity. And 3, access to finance. In a bid to mitigate the supply shocks caused by the conflict in the Balkans, the primary source of wheat imports, the government allowed private players to finance more than a third of the 2022 crop. However, some farmers have bemoaned payment delays, an issue that requires redress in order to sustain production growth.
The reality on the ground is some farmers have not been paid. We needed also to look at farmers receiving payment for their effort, rather receiving value for their effort, and that value being reflected in the producer price, but not only the producer price, but also in them being paid in full and on time.
The government is building new dams to expand irrigation capacity and plans to increase mechanization in order to ramp up wheat production further.
And that agriculture-related report is coming from the Zimbabwean capital, Harare. Now, the United Nations General Assembly marked 27th March as the International Day of Remembrance of the Victims of Slavery and the Transatlantic Slave Trade, highlighting the importance of education. Yahya Jammeh again has more details of that in this report.
Passed by Congress on January 31, 1865 and ratified on December 6, 1865, the 13th Amendment abolished slavery in the United States and provides that neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime whereof the parties shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. In 1948, the United Nations adopts the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which abolishes slavery internationally. Since its declaration, the United Nations General Assembly marked 27 March as the International Day of Remembrance of the Victims. Opening the event, the President of the United Nations General Assembly, Sabah Kurusi, described the commemoration as one of the history's most horrific crimes against humanity. President Kurusi emphasized that through education, no one will ever experience the hell lived by the 15 million people being commemorated.
A crime perpetrated for over 400 years. A crime that resulted in the forced deportation of over 15 million men, women, and children. A crime perpetrated in full view of the law. In fact, in most cases, supported by the law of those times. Through education, we can confute any revisionism with undisputable facts. Through education, we can raise awareness of the dangers caused by misconceptions of supremacy, whether past or present. Through education, we can ensure that no one will ever experience the hell lived by the 15 million we commemorate today.
For his part, the Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, stresses that the legacy of the transatlantic slave trade haunts us to this day. Guterres believes that a line could be drawn between colonial exploitation and orders.
Millions of African children, women and men were kidnapped and trafficked across the Atlantic, ripped from their families and homelands, their communities torn apart, their bodies commodified, their humanity denied. The legacy of the transatlantic slave trade haunts us to this day. We can draw a straight line from the era of colonial exploitation to the social and economic inequalities of today.
Ivory, gold, and other trade resources attracted Europeans to West Africa. As demand for the cheap labor to work on plantations in the Americas grew, people enslaved in West Africa became the most valuable commodity for European traders. Slavery existed in Africa before European arrivals. Between 1525 and 1866, in the entire history of the slave trade to the New World, according to the Transatlantic Slave Trade Database, 12.5 million Africans were shipped to the New World. 10.7 million survived the dreaded Middle Passage, disembarking in North America, the Caribbean, and South America. Reporting for Eyeafrica News, I am Yahya Jammeh.
You are watching the World Today News Bulletin on Eyeafrica TV, coming to you live from our studios in Banjul and from the report here by Yahya Jammeh. Let's now take a break and come back shortly.
Du Don't you want an affordable yet exquisite home or service from TAF but do not know how to go about it? Worry no more. Let me walk you through the process. 1. Book a viewing with us. 2. Agree on a payment plan you are comfortable with. 3. Fill out a reservation form. 4. Take your time to review, ask questions, and when satisfied, you can proceed by signing our sale agreement. And 5. Pay a deposit and sale is confirmed. From there, you can walk into your home and enjoy the real TAF experience, or still be a proud owner of a service plot from us. It's that simple. Book a viewing today. For more information, please call 376-2333 or 776-2333.
Welcome back. This is Eyeafrica TV and you are watching the World Today News Bulletin. And once again, many thanks for joining us. Let's now look at the rest of the story. Now, Gambia's Minister of Health and the World Bank on Saturday held a mid-term review to highlight the achievements in the country's health sector from 2020 to 2023 under the Essential Health Services Strengthening Project. An amount of $30 million was approved in October 2020, along with an additional financing of $50 million aimed at improving the quality and utilization of essential health services in the country. Now, speaking at the event held at the South Dauda Karaba Javaras Conference Center, the World Bank country rep, Ms. Fai Borifist, underscored the significant development registered in the country's health sector over the years. She, however, indicates that the challenges facing the country's health sector are complex and multifaceted.
As a result of our collective efforts, we have seen some remarkable improvement in health outcomes across the Gambia. These impressive accomplishments are a reflection of the hard work and commitment of the people of the Gambia, as well as the efforts of the Ministry of Health. However, we know that there's still much work to be done. The challenges facing the health sector in the Gambia are complex and multifaceted, and they require a sustained and concerted effort from all stakeholders. Now, more than ever, countries like the Gambia need to invest more in strengthening their health services and their health systems to make them prepared and more responsive to future pandemics. Investing in healthcare and making healthcare accessible and affordable for all is critical to achieving sustainable development and ending poverty.
Now, for his part, the Minister of Health, Dr. Ahmad Lamin Samate, also lauded what he describes the massive successes registered in the country's health sector. He says the Gambia's healthcare system continues to be resilient as the country recovers from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic.
As our country recovers from the difficult period of the COVID-19 pandemic, the Gambia health system has continued to build resilience to better provide healthcare services to the entire population. Therefore, our gathering here today is to witness some of the giant strides the government is taking to recover from the pandemic and provide the citizens with the required services for better living standards. However, as part of the recovery, the Ministry of Health has finalized its new National Health Policy 2021 to 2030 and its accompanying investment plan, the National Health Sector Strategic Plan 2021 to 2026, with a vision to ensure a healthier and more productive population through universal health coverage.
Dr. Ahmad Lamin Samate, Gambia's Minister of Health, speaking there. Now, moving on, amid the prevailing economic hardship, anti-government protests in Kenya have entered its second week, with citizens fearlessly clashing against or with security forces, despite the protests being declared illegal by the country's police chief. Many of the citizens were out on the street to vent their frustrations. Now, the protesters blamed the security forces for the violent situation, saying they were out for a peaceful demonstration. And here's more details of that in this report.
The protests had been declared illegal by Kenya's Inspector General of Police on Sunday, but on Monday, the protesters took to the streets of Nairobi and several other towns. Police used tear gas and water cannons to disperse them. Attempts by police to stop opposition chief Raila Odinga's convoy passing through some low-income neighborhoods in the Kenyan capital proved futile. A large crowd marching alongside him pushed past police lines. Major transport arteries in sections of the city were blocked by protesters who engaged security forces in running battles. Several bonfires have been lit along this road, with the police now engaging the protesters on two particular fronts, behind me and just behind my cameraman. At this particular moment, they're using tear gas and water cannons to move the crowd behind. But the protesters would not relent. They taunted the police officers and pelted them with stones. And now what you're seeing is it appears that the police are now charging forward towards the crowd. There's a lot of tear gas behind there. We're just going to try and get a little closer to find out exactly what is going on. The charge was short-lived, with protesters forcing the police back with stones. Some protesters have blamed the police for the deteriorating situation.
We were protesting in peace. On reaching here, the police started throwing tear gas at us.
The opposition is demanding that the government takes action to lower the high cost of living and says it will hold another protest rally on Thursday. The government has criticized the opposition for calling for the demos and says the protests are illegal. But it's the economy, already weighed down by the pandemic and debt repayments, that's bearing the impact of the protests, as many businesses remained shut as the protests went on during the day.
Well, of course, citizens there in Kenya were out on the street to protest against the prevailing economic hardship in the country, like we have seen in many other countries around the continent as well. And with that report, they are coming from the Kenyan capital, Nairobi. We now eventually bring this news edition to an end. But for more details on this and other stories, you can visit on our website on Eyeafrica.tv. But just a quick update on the Gambia's, of course, Africa Cup Nation qualifier against Mali. The game has just ended with Gambia defeating Mali by 1-0. And we'll bring you more details of that in our subsequent news edition. But for now, many thanks for the pleasure of your company. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and bye for now.